Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I just read Requiem Infernal by Fehervari, and it's a true horror extravaganza. In a nutshell, Requiem Infernal is about a possessed battle sister, a cursed demon hunter, and a battered guard regiment, who all together travel to the Candle World in search of absolution and salvation. Tough luck for them, however, as the gods of chaos soon start to tear the place apart, in various ways. History starts to change and twist, the dead grow restless, blood flows by the buckets, and even the Prince of Pleasure has an appendage in the mixture. Altogether, I mean it in the best way when I say that this results in a very messed up and horrible tale that you really have to experience for yourself. Or as the book puts it, steel yourselves, traveler, for the road you've chosen won't be easy. You'll find precious little glory along the way, let alone the hope of a better tomorrow at journey's end. But if you dare, it's linked down below. One of the big things that sets Fehervari apart from the other authors is his portrayal of the Chaos Gods. There is very little big fleshy demon hordes or magnanimous greater demons that slave mortals to their will. Instead, Chaos is portrayed as a very Lovecraftian, insidious force. You can't understand it, you can defeat it, not really at least, and it seeps through even the tiniest cracks. In Requiem Infernal, Fehervari then takes this to the extreme and basically introduces the Chaos versions of about a dozen different horror tropes. I don't really want to give examples because of spoiler reasons, but this is probably the book most deserving of the horror title in all of Black Library. Another big highlight of this novel is the cast and characterization. There are quite a lot of characters in this novel, but somehow none of them feel boring, with even the side characters getting some interesting fluff. Like one of the guardsmen, who isn't the brightest and whose name sounds vaguely orcish, is simply referred to as Orc by his mates. Conversely, one of them instead is rather strict and thus has been named the Deacon. This novel uses a lot of first perspectives, which first of all is of course interesting because it allows for a much more intimate connection with the cast. But especially for this horror novel, it works because of all the mindfuckery that is going on. A lot of characters are slowly going insane, and thus their perspectives become more and more unreliable or crazy. Furthermore, the world itself is unraveling a bit, and thus you as a reader know a lot more than the average character. The usage of the first perspective highlights this while also enhancing the horror of the book by putting you face first into it. I've already hinted at it, but the world building as well deserves a lot of praise. Like I mentioned, Fehervari has a rather unique take on the 40k universe, which leads to, and allows him to, make some really cool stuff. Such as a Repentia, who birthed a split personality to deal with all the horrors of war, which then started to develop a will of its own. A Battle Sister order, entirely based on the scripture of a mysterious and possibly insane prophet. Or what about an unwilling demon hunter, who is forced to roam the galaxy until this mysterious book is finally finished. And it is not just the originality and depth of the lore Fehervari writes, it's also how well it fits into the story. This book has over a dozen characters, meta plotlines, multiple side plots, a whole bunch of world building, diary fragments, and so much more. Yet it never becomes confusing or overwhelming. Fehervari truly is a master at making all of his work fit together, both within a novel as well as within his larger Dark Coil universe. It truly is a sight to behold. This story specifically also has a very cool wall-breaking structure going on that, again, I won't spoiler, but trust me, once you reach the final paragraph, you'll see the genius of it. The only real criticism I have for this book, and the reason why I may prefer the Reverie over this one, are the events near the end of the book. Like, you know how most horror movies tend to really escalate towards the ending? Now imagine if you took 20 of them and inserted all of the madness, monsters, and all of it into a single movie. That is a bit how this story feels near the end. On one hand, it is quite the ride and it kinda works, but some of it feels a bit over the top compared to all of the subtlety that is found throughout the rest of the novel. Then finally, for those that have never read the Dark Coil before, let me warn you that these books are a lot more complex than the average Black Library book. They contain some of the most beautiful and horrific descriptions, but the word choice can be a bit complex. They are very well woven together and apply a lot of subtlety and mystery. Some things you'll pick up if you pay good attention, others may only become apparent on a reread. But this also means that you can't really leave this novel for too long or read it very casually. Fehervari's writing style is amazing, but it requires some effort to truly appreciate it, and thus it won't be for everyone. But still, in conclusion, this novel gets a very well deserved 5 out of 5 demonic nurses. Requiem Infernal presents a horrible tale of apocalyptic proportions with beautiful language, an amazing set of characters, and a very diverse range of horror tropes. The plot is masterfully crafted and manages to tie this boatload of information into a very compelling narrative. I would call this a good contender for the best Warhammer horror title, but funnily enough, it's actually not part of that publishing line. But now before you go, I would like to make a small announcement, and that is the launch of the Barthel Patreon. On it you will find some additional reviews, some miniature hobby related stuff, and some lore from the fantasy setting me and a couple friends are working on. So if you would like to support the channel and get some extra stuff in return, then make sure to take a look. And otherwise, thank you for watching, and don't forget your naughty prayers to Nagash.